Hey y'all, welcome back to the 2434 podcast, where anything is possible when we learn from our wins and losses. Heck speaking, and I'm here to give you an update about the NBA offseason. Whew! One thing I love about the NBA is their offseasons always be a fire sale. What to expect in this video? I'm gonna cover all the major transactions in this offseason, and there's a bunch that are unbelievable. But with all that being said, let's get it. We're gonna talk about the major trades. So first, DeJounte Murray got traded to the New Orleans Pelicans for Larry Nance Jr., Dyson Daniels, the Lakers 2025 first round pick, and the Bucks slash Pelicans 2027 first round pick. So first, DeJounte Murray is a great player, and I think he may add defensive versatility to the Pelicans roster that need it. The problem is, he's a scoring option. The problem is with the Pelicans is their big three of C.J. McCollum, Brandon Ingram, and Zion Williamson did not play all 82 this season. So they're going to be a solid. I feel like they're going to be a solid defensive core. This trade showed up their defense and adds an extra scoring option, but I don't know how they're going to fit with with four players who need the ball in their hands. Now for the Atlanta, Trae Young, DeJounte Murray's experiment did not work. The problem really is, it was an awkward, how I felt about the trade when they traded for DeJounte Murray. It was an awkward fit in the first place because the idea was a good idea in a sense that DeJounte Murray is a defensive-minded guard, so they have a good guard defender, and Trae Young can sit there and go score 30 without having to worry about guarding the other guard. But my biggest problem is DeJounte Murray has not been on a for all defensive team since he tore his ACL. And because of that, if you need him to be a lockdown defender, it's really going to be a challenge for him. But the biggest thing about why that's important for me to notice is when your ACL goes, you lose a little of your burst and your lateral quickness, which is pivotal for him to be in the defense, to play defense. Now, how does it impact the Pelicans, and how does Dyson Daniels and Larry Nance impact it? I mean, they got off the DeJounte Murray contract. I feel that what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to re-sign Trae Young. They're gonna try to keep Trae Young and figure out and try to add pieces and acquisitions to build around Trae Young. But we'll see. Let me know in the comment section below how you feel. The next trade I'll discuss is the Washington Wizards traded Danny Avdija for Malcolm Brogdon, Carlton Carrington. Okay. The 2029 first round pick that has protections, a 2028 second round pick, and a 2030 second round pick, excuse me. This trade, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of it. I really don't know how good or how talented Carlton Carrington is going to be, because especially he's a rookie. But I'll sit there and say this. Them adding really another point guard in that room really doesn't make that much sense to me, because they already got Jordan Poole. They already got Trey Jones. Not Trey Jones, Tyus Jones. Carl Carrington is a guard. Landry Shaman is a wing. Because this team is deep in point guard depth, adding Malcolm Brogdon is not really viable for them. Now, most likely, I believe they're gonna have him get traded or something, or they're gonna move over Tyus Jones, excuse me. And long story short, and I think if they can bring back honestly, the Washington Wizards, their success will only be decided depending on how Alex Sarr does. The way I'm looking at their roster right now. You have I don't see them making a deep playoff push with this team. But let me know how y'all feel about the Washington Wizards in the comment section below. And this one's a big one. New York Knicks has officially became the Nova Knicks. They officially got their final Infinity Stone. They traded Bogdanovich, Jake Milton, 5 first-round picks, and a pick swap and a 2025 second round pick, along with another throw, along with Bogdan Bogdanovic and I am not going to try to pronounce it, Mamadi him, right? For Mikal Bridges and Keati Bates Duop in a second round pick. How do I feel about this trade? One of the things I am actually enjoy about the Knicks, they got their culture. They have a defensive backbone. They're gonna play. They're gonna play with intensity. They're gonna hustle. They're gonna play. They've been embodying New York City for the last season. Now here's why I like the addition of Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges is a 3-and-D wing, and I think it's going to be the third option on this New York Knicks team. Two, the biggest they managed to do this while keeping OG Anunoby and Julius Randle. But honestly, because they added Mikal Bridges, I think Julius Randle is gonna be hot take. Julius Randle is most likely gonna get traded because they added Mikal Bridges. Because adding having that many players in one basketball does not really work. Now, sadly, they lost Hardenstein, who was a really good rebounder for them. But I'll say this: adding Mikal Bridges to the Knicks could be a piece that helps them go over the hump for a potential playoff run. Now, talking about how it impacts the Nets, they need as many listen because of the trades, the Kevin Durant trade and the James Harden trade. All their first round picks belong to Houston. And long story short, Ben Simmons has been a disappointment. Right? I think it's best if they take so this deal right here, they felt that they was not going anywhere. And I honestly feel that this gives Cam Thomas more opportunities to shine. And I generally believe that it may do him good for his development, for him to improve, and him to be the only person there on the Nets. I want to see how this trade trends out. But hey, leave in the comment section below. Let me know how y'all feel about the Brooklyn Bridges trade. But this is much more of a key acquisition that happens with the Warriors. First, in the offseason, the Golden State Warriors sadly could not come to deals with Klay Thompson, and they let Chris Paul walk. Excuse me. So Chris Paul walking, he went to play for the San Antonio Spurs. So I like this move for Chris Paul, and I like this move for the Spurs mutually because I don't expect Chris Paul to sit there and average 15 a game, but that team is a young team and needs a veteran leadership and a veteran presence. And honestly, if they don't need him to sit there and average 15 and 8 a game, they should be all right because one, they got Devin Vesely. Two, they got Wemby. Three, they got Keldon Johnson. And I think Keldon Johnson can be a second and third option for them. And honestly, they really lack a point guard or somebody to facilitate and help run their offense. And I think Chris Paul will do that, and also will help with the development of Trey Jones on the Spurs. Now, here's the departure that got me sad a little bit. Klay Thompson is no longer Golden State Warriors as he's going to be playing for the Dallas Mavericks. So apparently, it was a signing trade. The Warriors get 2 second-round picks. The Hornets get Josh Green, and while the Mavericks get Klay Thompson. Here's how I feel about those situations. Klay Thompson, it's sad that they couldn't really agree to terms, but a lot of it has to do with the new salary cap issues. And the fact that if the Warriors are not going to sit there and be a top five, and not going to be top five in the West, or they're going to be a play-in team because of age, it does not make sense to sit there and throw the bag at Klay Thompson and try to keep these guys, because in the end, Klay Thompson has just been a model of inconsistency throughout throughout this whole entire season with the Warriors. Now here's my problem. All right, now the upside is they brought back Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield is nowhere close. As I always crack jokes with my friend, he's a Temu Klay Thompson. As talented as Buddy Hield is, and this is not a shot at Buddy Hield, you're not gonna replace Klay Thompson, because Klay, in his peak, he was able to sit there and take the best scorer, who is a wing or a guard. He can sit there and give you 60 off 11 dribbles, and that's a massive piece to lose for the Warriors. Then, plus the Warriors didn't receive anybody life-changing back. Like Kyle Anderson, great player, great role player, but not really a needle mover. They got Lindley Waters from the Thunder, who, oh yeah, he's a second round pick, not really a needle mover. They got DeAnthony Melton, who I think is a solid a defensive guard, excuse me, but he doesn't really move the needle. They had the opportunity to trade for Zach LaVine, and they reject that. Overall, besides them getting Buddy Hield, I feel like the trade really didn't. I feel like Thompson, and they really didn't do anything better. So do I think this is gonna be the end of the golden era? Yeah. I generally believe that injuries, the temperament of their players, and long story short, bad contracts really messed them up in the long term. Especially since we're starting to see why the Warriors why the Warriors are crumpling before our very eyes. But with that being said, let me know how y'all feel about this in the comment section below. Finally, the Philadelphia 76ers signed Paul George for a 5-year to a 4-year max contract worth about $212 million. So how do I feel about the Paul George signing for the 76ers? The problem with Paul George signing with the 76ers is, as talented as he is, he's not really a needle mover. The major problem with the 76ers is Joel Embiid cannot stay healthy, especially in deep playoff runs. It happens every single year. He gets injured. He plays in the playoffs. He runs down. He gets all the buckets. He gets injured at some point in the playoffs. And long story short, he has a down year because of it. Now, how this is going to impact the Clippers? With Paul George, they managed to sign him. They re-signed Tyrese Maxey. They re-signed Kelly Oubre. They picked up Andre Drummond. They picked up Eric Gordon. And they picked up Caleb Martin, which is good pieces and talent and good depth. My major issue is if Joel Embiid cannot play 70 plus games a season, I don't think no matter who they sign, it's not going to matter because he's going to get hurt and miss a substantial amount of time regardless. And that's what led them to lose to the Knicks this season. That's what caused them in most of their playoff runs, especially with they lost to the Celtics because he got injured. And then when he's healthy, and he's playing in the playoffs, he's not getting the same calls that he normally does in the regular season. So because of that, I don't know how. I'm not really a fan of the Paul George hype, thinking that the 76ers are going to win the championship because they added Paul George. But hey, I could be wrong. Now, to talk about the Clippers about losing Paul George. First things first, they let him walk. You got to get something back for Paul George. That's how I feel. But here's why I'm not really a fan of the Paul George going to the Clippers. You know who was in that trade for Paul George? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari. The Thunder also received Trey Mann, Jalen Williams, along with 4 extra picks. And I'm gonna sit there and say this: a pairing of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Trey Mann or Jalen Williams with Kawhi may have been more beneficial than sitting there putting all that shooting up a bow, shooting a blind dart, and hoping that Paul George can lead you to a championship. Because I feel that, long story short, he had opportunities to lead Indiana and the Thunder to a deep playoff run, but long story short, he fell short. Then this year, during his time with the Clippers, it was blow a 3-1 lead. Kawhi got hurt. He got hurt. COVID. Long story short, the team just was a massive disaster, to say the least. Now, sadly, what does this mean for Kawhi? Honestly, I think the Clippers championship window is closed because I don't think a pairing of Kawhi Leonard and James Harden is talented enough or deep enough to win a championship. But hey, Would y'all tell me how y'all feel in the comment section below? With that being said, thank y'all for tuning into the 2434 podcast. Like, share, subscribe. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know the drill. We turn